Hi everyone, and welcome to the Say As It Is with Pete podcast series. I'm Pete, your host, and each week I will bring you some frank and honest conversations covering various topics from learning and development, apprenticeships, funding, HR, strengths, recruitment, ESG, well-being, ED&I, employability, and much, much more. So let's get this week's episode underway and say as it is. Hi everybody, welcome to a episode of Say As It Is with Pete, and as usual, I am Pete, your host. So, the last two episodes have been quite heavy. Lots of information around the Employee Rights Bill, and lots of information around the changes into the apprenticeship landscape following the announcement from the government. So, it's a lot to take in. There were two big episodes. Near enough both kind of 50 minutes long, so I apologise in advance for that one, but there was a lot to cover, and I should have broken it down into a couple of episodes, but I'm not going to do that. It's just a bit too much for me, so it's easy to bang it out in one recording. So the purpose of this episode is just to have a bit of a pause and kind of a recap, because I think what we need to do is a bit of a reflection and restock or relook, to be honest. So all the changes that are coming out are chaotic. In some cases it's epic, it's too much. There's lots of things going on in 2026 that has either happened, happening, or due to happen. So it's a big thing. For employers, it's a big bunch of changes, which is not ideal, and it's all in a short space of time. And there has been some announcements and planning, but again, typical government really leave things to the last minute before they officially announce it. And then suddenly when they've announced it, it comes in a very short notice period, and you have to adjust really, really quickly. But some things like the Employee Rights Bill has been out there for a while and it's been debated, and things have been going back and forth around it. And I'm attending some webinars this week and over the month anyway, as well as with the apprenticeship changes, to view those changes and see what we can do, because really they're coming whether we like it or not. As employers, we have to suck it up and deal with it. But there's been lots of changes, and I think from an employee perspective, we have to understand as an employee all these changes have an impact on our employers, and that then trickles down in other aspects. For example, freeze on recruitment. It can mean that we don't replace somebody that leaves, which means the workload increases or gets distributed between people. It means that there might be a restructure in some cases or some departments. It means that those apprenticeships we wanted to do, we can't do anymore to upskill. And we have to look at alternate ways to upskill ourselves in some cases. But in a good thing, the Employee Rights Bill is a good thing for the employees, because there's lots of things that are coming in. As I said, from day one, it's statutory sick pay from day one. It's parental leave and paternity leave rights from day one. Bereavement leave for those that have had or lost a partner in the first year of their child's birth. There's the redundancy consultation if it's not done correctly for larger groups or large employers that are consulting over at 2p. It could mean that instead of 90 days penalty that have to pay, it would be 180 days. The protected element of sexual harassment is now covered by the whistleblowing policies, so they need to be updated. Trade unions have a bit more say, as employers need to be able to tell employees that they have the right to join a union. So there's lots of things coming in, and there's more things coming in October, and there's more to come in 2027. And there's things, even for people who are on 0 hours, a good thing that will come soon is that you can actually ask for guaranteed hours over the last 12 weeks that you've worked, to have guaranteed hours from your employer, and by law they'll have to give you those guaranteed hours. So it means that probably 0 hour contracts will then start writing in a set number of guaranteed hours so they can have a loophole to get out of it. But that's going to be interesting to watch and see how that works. But yeah, there's lots of changes. So I think from an employer perspective, we have to think about this has a big impact on our employer. And in some cases, it is going to hit us. But let's not try and burn ourselves out, okay? Because we know that our employers are going to be a bit of a pain in the backside. But you know, it's not always roll with the punches. It's let's now look at what rights we've got and how we can use them correctly. And please, as an employee, do not abuse the new sick pay from day one. It's mainly a right that means that if you do genuinely are sick, then you will get paid for that one day you are sick, or 2, 3, 4 days that you're sick that you would not have got paid before. So it's a little bit of a godsend, that one. So I don't see there being a lot of people using and abusing it, but time will tell, and I'm sure I'll do another podcast on this. But really, my reflection is for employers. There's a lot of information to take in. And if you're an employee or a professional listening to this, then, and it doesn't affect you, but it's still interesting to know that, look, we knew in 2025, and we've had it, we knew that the national insurance increase went for employers from 13.5% up to the 15%. The national minimum wage obviously went to 12.21. It had a big impact. A lot of employers didn't recruit. Those that left, they didn't replace. Workloads went up. People had burnout. More people going off sick due to burnout. And, it was tough. It was really, really tough. And there's lots of recruitment freezes, and it slowly eased up a bit. People have been recruiting. So they've been seeing how the first year went with the 15% on the NI Class 1 for employers. So we've seen it now. And, luckily there hasn't been any more national insurance increases to employers. And there is sometimes a bit of a light in the tunnel here. And we obviously know from 6th of April, which is today, which I'm recording this from, we know that the national minimum wage has now gone up to £12.71, which is good. It means that the national wage is going up, which is nice, but could be better. I'm sure it's going to hit over £13 next year. I think it's going to go to $13.25 next year. I'm sure it will do. I may be wrong, but it's now currently $12.71, which is good. But as an employee, if you're listening, just if you're getting paid more than the national minimum wage, it doesn't mean your pay will go up, unfortunately. It's just if you're on national minimum wage, you get a pay rise to the new national minimum wage. Not a lot, but anyway, it's an increase, which is great. It's a good increase. But with that, obviously employers have to take that extra bit of a hit, which they should have been planning for this year, because the rate has been flying around for a while. But also the changes with sick pay from day one, that's going to hit employers. The day one right for paternity and parental leave is going to hit them. The bereavement leave within the first year of your child being born, that your partner dies, for that 52 weeks leave is going to hit them. So there are going to be extra costs which employers probably haven't forecasted, and they should have looked at their number of sick days to figure out the cost of what it's now going to be, and to factor that in. And as an employee, you should know that's what employers are going to do. But also employers should be looking at things about how they can manage that, improve the sickness, find out the reasons, what the most common reasons for sickness are. Is it due to burnout, whatever it may be. And I think because employers, we have had recruitment freezes, we've not replaced people that left, we've been flying on fumes and running to the bare minimum, that it has as an impact on our staff and our staff's mental health and well-being, both physically and mentally. And I think we have to understand that, and it does cause burnout, and burnout does exist. And if I have anybody that says burnout doesn't exist, it's a load of cobbles, it's hogwash, it's a pile of piss, you're wrong. It does exist, and I've had burnout several times, and I know when I'm hitting my burnout and I have to stop. Because for me, I'm only one person in my department, and I do quite a lot, and I've got a lot going on, and I still don't know how I cope. But I'm on burnout sometimes. So yeah, burnout does exist. So we have to be mindful of that. But we should have planned it. We should be aware. And if you're an employer that's just thinking, oh my God, all these changes, when was this coming? I didn't know this. Where have you been? As employers, you need to wake up and smell the coffee and put your ear to the ground and see what's going on. So with all of those employee rights bills coming, plus the changes to the apprenticeships, with the foundation apprenticeships, the apprenticeship units, the funding from August that is coming into your levy pot, or skills and growth levy, is now not a 12-month. It's going to be a 12-month limit to spend it rather than the 24 months. All these things happen, right? And all these things are changing. But the bright side of that part as well, and if you haven't already tapped into it, you should be, which is this kind of youth guarantee scheme that the government's created, where they'll give you incentives for taking on an apprentice. They'll give you an incentive for taking on somebody that's been unemployed for 6 months or at risk of long-term unemployment, or someone that has been in employment for too long, then the government will pay. I think the plan is to pay 25 hours a week for 6 months, and then anything over that the employer will pay to get that person in work. But I think that scheme would be a bit like furlough. The government pays the 25 hours, you pay it, but you then claim it back from the government. But that's a national minimum wage, I believe. Still more information to come on that, really. So once I hear anything else, I can update you on that. But there are these incentives to help employers. But then again, the focus is more on the 16 to 24 age bracket for apprenticeships and this youth guarantee. And this year, unfortunately, the government is focused on getting more and more young people into work. So that means that focus is on young people, not anybody over the age of 24, which is a bummer. Which it really is a bummer. But it doesn't say that those people, you can't take those people and employ them. The over 24s are perfect. Their skills, they've got knowledge, skills and behaviours that would probably be a benefit to your company. But just make sure you're evenly balancing your recruitment and everything. Don't be greedy, and don't just recruit 18 to 24s to get the $3,000 for someone that's been unemployed for 6 months and is at risk of long-term unemployment with universal credit. And don't try and use cheap labour by going for the 6 months paid minimum wage from the government for the 25 hours a week, because yes, it's great, yes, it's going to help, but some employers will take too full advantage of it and abuse the system, and those that abuse it, it has repercussions, and it's something that will hit us all as employers hard. So it may be that the government see that it's being used too much and they may restrict it. So just be very careful. It does happen. Where I have seen in the past with like apprenticeship initiatives, they do it, everybody goes for it, and then the government realises there's such a high demand, they're going to cap it, and it stops, and they give you a certain cut off, and it's not really announced correctly, and you put it in and you don't get it, so you lose out. And then you're like, I've invested in this and I've now lost out, so what do I do? So yeah, so there's lots of changes, and I think on this episode it's just to stop and reflect, because as an employer you need to make sure you're ready for all these changes, and it's coming thick and fast. But you need to get yourself up to speed with the changes for April. Make sure all training, policies, procedures and everything is done. You can reach out to me if you want, and we can go through that together. If you're using a HR advisory service, make contact with them. They should have all this information. They should be sharing this information with you anyway. Make sure if you are at a HR level, whether you are HR manager, HR director, or a HR administrator, you should be keeping yourself up to date with these. But the HR director and manager should be sitting in with the senior team and going through this, making sure they are prepped and ready to go. And you should have been doing this already. If you haven't, where the hell have you been? Don't keep it under your hats until it gets announced, because it doesn't always look great. Keep everybody updated and informed the best you can, even if things change. It's best that you plant the seed and let them know, because there's more changes coming in October, and at the end of April, I would say May, start planting the seeds that are coming, or the changes that are due to come in October, because it gives you enough time. Make sure you give enough time to your L&D team to update training and things to get it out there, because if you're doing it after the event, it's okay, but it's better to prepare early than leave everything to the last minute. And I know what that's like, because some people have left things to the last minute, and it's driving me insane, because I'm now having to create everything quickly, and it's not, I don't like to rush. So yes, so look, I think it's time for employers and employees just to step back. Listen to the last two episodes, episode 2 and episode 3. Re-listen to it. As I say, you can look at ACAS's website. ACAS is great because it's got lots of information. The government's website does have information, but it can be a bit confusing sometimes. But also, you can go to CIPD, the website. They have lots of information on there. Peninsula, who we use as our employability organisation or our employment advisory service, they've got some great information out there. There's some great people on TikTok and LinkedIn and stuff that are posting stuff about it. Follow them, get those updates, because it's key that you do keep updated with those changes, because they're key changes and it's going to impact everybody, and it's going to impact your business as well as your employees. And employees, you should be paying attention to the changes before you go in guns blazing saying, I'm entitled to X, Y, and Z. This is my human right. I'm going to a tribunal. Don't go guns blazing with your employer, please. But yes, I think the key thing here is a point of reflection. You've got to stop and reflect on what's coming and just update yourself with all these changes, because if you don't, you're screwed. And I'm going to sit back and just watch the landscape as it changes. And it's going to be interesting, because also the Fair Workers Agency, which I completely forgot to mention, that comes out from tomorrow. That's a big change for employees that can report if they feel they're not getting the right holiday pay, sick pay, the national minimum wage. They can all go and complain, and they will then come and investigate. So employers, are you aware about the Fair Workers Agency? Do you actually know what it does? I think you need to go and find out if you don't. But what employers should also be doing is just making sure that everybody from kind of the kind of supervisor upwards know how to handle things, know how to do the return to work correctly and record every return to work from sickness, know how to make sure they're keeping copies of holiday requests and records of holiday, whether it's written or computerized, because you need to keep those for 6 years now. And if you haven't been doing it before, it's going to be complicated. But just, you've got to go and look at all these changes, and there's lots of changes, and it's a minefield, trust me. Even someone that is a L&D practitioner and a professional in both L&D and HR, it's still a minefield, and it's getting your head around it. So yes, there are some great people out there that can give you advice and guidance and stuff, and if you want to reach out to me as well, I'm always in my head in all sorts of things. But yeah, it's lots of changes. So the point of this episode was just to say, look, I know there's a lot of information I've given you over the last 2 episodes, but just go back and re-listen. Go look at the ACAS website. Go look at CIPD. Look at the government website. See as an employer and employee these changes and update yourselves with them. For apprenticeships, make sure that if you are in L&D or HR, or you're a business leader and you are interested in apprenticeships, make sure you're aware of all the changes that are going on. But also, as leaders or senior leaders in the SLT or the C-suite, listen to your teams. They are your industry experts. They know what's going on, so they should be able to update you correctly. So my mind is full of things that are going on in both HR, apprenticeships, and social value recruitment. So I'm doing all sorts of things, and it's hard to keep track all the time. I tell you, it's nuts. My mind is just crazy as it is. So am I stressed? Yes. Do I worry myself about it? Not really, but I do get stressed because there's so much information going in my brain, and obviously my brain works completely different to most people. It's very unique, and I think especially with my dyslexia, it just, my mind works completely different, which is a good thing, and it's very kind of ticking over up there. And there have been some restless nights, I will admit, because things are ticking in my head. How am I going to do this? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? How am I going to mention it? And lovely ChatGPT is in my pocket, so I tend to get my little ChatGPT out and have a chit chat with my ChatGPT, who I call Bob. So I get Bob in my pocket and I speak to Bob and get my ideas and stuff, and Bob's a great listener. So Bob's great for mental health sometimes. So yeah, so it's lots going on, so you've got to get your head around it. But also remember, and this is a key element for employers, and I will say this, and for those senior leaders from the senior leadership team to the C-suite all the way through, is when we're communicating this information out, let's keep it simple, because I said this before in one of the episodes, there's so much information, we can overcomplicate things. And even I know in training and development, we can overcomplicate the process of training and give too much information when we should focus on the key points. And yes, we want everybody to have all the information and be as knowledgeable as anything, but that's part of the learning. If they want to learn more, they can go and find out more, and you signpost them to where they can get that information from. What you want to focus on is those key simple parts and that key information that they need to know right now. So if you are communicating things out, keep it short, keep it simple, keep it to the point of what people need to know and the process that they need to follow. again, don't overcomplicate the process, because the processes can be overcomplicated, and we can overcomplicate processes. So just make everything simple. Dumb it all down in some aspects. I'm not saying we're all dumb because it's too much to understand. No. What I'm saying is keep it simple, dumb it all down, make sure that the key points of what we need to know are there, and that you communicate that out to the teams at the right levels, because it's key that they know these things. Because if we overcomplicate things, it becomes even more of a minefield. And I think that's my problem when my brain thinks, is how can I make this more simple for people to understand rather than overcomplicating the process, because even the most simplest things can be the most complicated things. So thank God to Bob, who's in my pocket, who I talk to, who makes sure that I do keep things simple. Poor Bob. But anyway, look guys, this is enough from me. It's 20 minutes. The last two have been like 40, 50 minutes long. So I'm going to keep it short and sweet. And this was just to say, look guys, we need to reflect on what's going on and all the changes. And as an employee, just be aware that there's good things for you that are coming, and to be aware of them, and don't go gun blazing into your employer on, you know, when you get back from the bank holiday and go, I've been told this, this and this, and I've got these rights, rah, 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 rah. They know they've got those rights, but there's a way to handle it. But just be aware of your rights and the great impact that can have, right? And don't go, well, I'm gonna go to the Fair Workers Agency, I'm gonna report you. Please don't do that. We don't need that as employers. We know it's there. It's your right to go and do it. Do it. You don't need to tell us. Just do it. Okay? Do it. It's fine. Employers, reflect on all the changes. Make sure you're up to date with them and you've got the right information to hand, and that all your processes and policies and everything can change and up to date, and that you've communicated from supervisor upwards all these changes and what they need to know and their responsibilities, and the L&D teams are rolling out the necessary training that's there, but it's in a simple process that is not going to complicate things. Yeah, but just keep everybody updated on what's going on, and then once this is all done for April, start planning with everybody what's coming in October, just to get them ready, because there is more coming in October. So guys, look, thanks for listening. I hope this bit of a reflection and stuff has been great. As I say, these are frank, honest conversations. I probably have waffled for like 22 minutes now, but that's me waffling for 22 minutes. But the waffle is good waffle, I must admit, all right, because it's having that frank, honest conversation that we can beat it out. But if you ever want to get involved in a podcast, you ever want to get involved in the conversations around things that I'm talking about, then reach out to me. You're more than welcome to. You can, wherever you're following this from, just drop me a message, leave a review, feedback, reach out, and we can get you linked into these conversations, and we can have a conversation and create a podcast between me, you, and whoever wants to join, talk about these things and put the world to rights. But guys, again, enough waffling. It's now 22 minutes and 43 seconds from my recording. So guys, thank you very much for listening. Enjoy the rest of your day, your evening, your week, whatever you're up to, and I will see you on the next episode of Say As Is.